Good evening and welcome to the Jungle Gyms podcast. Another Tuesday night Tic Talk, as I like to call it. 2 seconds. Got the stream running on the side there, guys, and it just really confused my headphones there. Yes, Tuesday night Tic Talks, everything rounded up Celtic related the past week. We're going to look at the game at the weekend. I'll look ahead to the game tomorrow night against Livy. Some controversial moments I'm sure we'll discuss from the weekend's game. And I'll look into the new signings of the new players to see where we're sitting. I'm the host for tonight, Anthony, obviously, says my name down the bottom, and I've got the lovely Gavin, who I swear does have a set of lights in that room somewhere, and he might turn them on at some point for us. How are you doing, Gavin?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. I'm just looking at a big night in the season. Hearts are playing tonight. They've already kicked off. They're playing Hibs, and I'm just looking at the lineup. They've got. I don't totally digress, but I'm really good, and obviously I think a lot of people have got their eyes on tonight's game in Edinburgh to see how it ends up. Obviously, any points that the Hibs take for tonight's game is going to be massive for Celtic, but also Rangers are going to see that as a massive advantage as well. So it's just been a crazy season, and the title race is becoming like squeaky bum time right now for all teams. So
yeah,
I've even heard someone say that Motherwell have got a chance, an outside chance. Imagine that.
I heard somebody say that on one of the phone-ins or something. I can't remember where I heard it, but yeah, it's mental takes. Excuse me, sorry guys. It is an interesting season overall. I mean, obviously we've discussed this a few times on the podcast now, but if you look at the date where you're touching midway in February, and we're sitting in second, technically probably third at this point. No, they're not playing till tomorrow. My apologies. And it's mad to be talking about an actual title race that we're looking for favours and we're looking for people dropping points for us to capitalise on. And I think I said last week or the week before that for me the league's practically gone, and I'm going to wait and see how the new players bed in over these first few games after the transfer window, just to see if I can find any confidence in the side that's going to, Celtic are going to go on a consecutive winning streak, something that we've not overly done outside of Martin O'Neill's times, which is obviously a good point. But I did not expect Hearts to drop points at the weekend. Was it last week they dropped points? Then we had the Aberdeen game postponed.
Midweek. It was midweek.
Game. Didn't expect them to do that, so that obviously helps in our favours. And then you look at Hearts' run of games. We Hibs tonight and then Rangers at the weekend. This could actually turn quite quickly. Also with the Scottish Cup, the game that we've just played at the weekend against Dundee, a few talking points in there. One of the big things we could talk about obviously is the draw for the next round is going to be an away game to Rangers. And it's now flagging up was it a 10-day spell where it's like 4 away games, but it's like 10 games that really could define your season. You've got Rangers a couple of times in the league, and in the cup you've got a Europa League game that could see you go through, and then you've got obviously the away game to Aberdeen, which I presume is the postponed game, and I wonder if there might be a rejig of fixtures just because of how congested that might be getting. But I wouldn't expect any favours from people in charge, of course. But from me 2 weeks ago, being a bit down and out, even just one result last midweek, this is how fast football can change, that it really could turn around. February could be the month that turns it around for us. We could... Yeah, it's living in hope and dreams, but it's all we've got at this stage, and we are looking for favours. But one favour came in quickly. Another one could come in tonight if Hibs get anything off Hearts. Any sort of result is good. How are you feeling, Gavin? I had a plan of how this conversation was going to go, but just because of what I've been saying, how are you sitting mentally with the season ahead? Are you positive, optimistic? Are you still a bit down and out about it?
I'm not down and out about it. There's like varying levels of optimism. Like after that cup game, you kind of, albeit it isn't a one-off game, a cup game, of course. But it just looks like that every performance we put in, although the result is pretty much positive, that we're getting the wins under Martin O'Neill. Like, since Martin O'Neill's came back, we've only dropped points once, and that was away at Hearts, I believe. So every game, performance-wise, it doesn't give you much confidence, because you wonder how sustainable is this when we appear to be riding our luck at times in games when we're struggling to make chances for our strikers. It does appear that how far can this continue, especially whenever you go into the split in the league, and then you're going to be playing the top 6 teams in the league. How far can that continue? But at the same time, we're still by hook or by crook still getting the results that we need. So you'd rather be a lucky manager than a losing manager, you know. But where I'm at right now, every game, I've got trepidation, whether I'm watching it on the TV or whether I'm going to Parkhead to watch it. I'm like a bag of nerves. I really, really am, and it's uncomfortable. It's a new experience. I guess it's difficult to compare it to a previous season. Just you know, the years of success that we've had, and then for some reason we've opened the door and we've allowed not just one team in, but 2 teams into the title race. And as Brendan said, going back to that statement, we're the architects of our own stress. We've got nobody else to point the blame at bar Celtic, but we're in this title fight, and it's going to go to the wire every single game, and we will probably lose points. We're not going. I don't see us going into a streak of winning every single game. There will be ups and downs, and there'll be moments when we'll probably think that's us, we've fucked it, and then the following result, one of our rivals will drop points. It's not good for the heart, it's not good for the nerves, but we've got no other choice but to go ahead with this ride and see how it pans out. But if I was a betting man, I don't know who I would bet on. I would probably say that Celtic and Rangers have got a stronger chance than Hearts of clinching it. Maybe just from our experience, maybe Rangers with Danny Rowe coming in and kind of steadying the ship. I think there's a wee bit more jeopardy in the Hearts results that will come. Any team could win it. I would maybe just give the 2 Glasgow teams the outside chance over Hearts. But no, man, it's just, as I said, I'm just like a bag full of nails for every single game, and it's horrible to witness.
It is. I was just looking at the results there again while you were speaking. It's 6 wins out of 8, I believe it is, and 2 draws in Martin O'Neill's second term. And if I'm right in saying it was 7 out of 8 in his first interim term. So his results, as you said, they speak for themselves in the realms that he's getting the points on the board. It's the vast majority positive results. I mean, even the 2 draws as Hearts and Bologna, they're still positive results when you take into consideration the setup of the Europa League. We could have got away without a result in Bologna, well, against Bologna, sorry, and just focus on the Utrecht game. But that result was a massive positive that eased the Utrecht result. Hearts, again, because they are the front runners just now, the top of the table. I hate saying it, but that was still a somewhat positive result that Hearts didn't, create any more space on us. But we're still in that space where we're looking for a favour, and let's hope it is Hibs that gives a one tonight, because as much as it's me, clutching at the last fucking grasp sort of thing, if Hibs can get a result tonight and we beat Livy tomorrow, yes, we've got the game in hand against Aberdeen, but that's almost like a reset back to level points sort of thing. And you can look at, was it 12 games to go? It's just like a mad sprint to the finish line at that point. Whoever's got the tails up is the ones who are going to win. Rangers, on the other hand, they will have a points gap a little bit. I think it might still be 2 points, even if it all plays out positive for everybody in the next game or two. So I don't know about them. I would side with yourself that the bigger sides theoretically should see out the season better, but Hearts' bubble's not burst yet.
No.
So we all thought it would have by now. It's not. They have strengthened. We just never know. They could go on a run of 2-3 games where it just kind of falls apart, then they catch themselves again, but that could be enough for Celtic. But as you said, I just can't see, we've went through seasons where it's like 23, 24, 25 games winning streaks. I don't see where that's coming from. As much as we can be positive about the results that Martinelli's getting, as you said as well, the performances haven't been great. And I'm loving that we're seeing them out and eking out the results. That makes champions at the end of the day. But it's not building my confidence for going into the next game or the game after to say, look, yeah, we're going on that run. We're going to make a bit of ground. I'm not feeling it quite yet. But that all said, let's take a small look at the game at the weekend. It was a cup game, so it's a wee bit of a change of pace as far as the league's concerned. But still another game that, as Celtic fans, you're looking for the performances to rise a bit. You're looking for the confidence to grow within the players. And more than anything else, I think the first game after a transfer window, you're looking to see what the new players are all about. So we'll not delve in too deeply and rehash it. Podcasts have been on all week. I'm sure the guys who are listening in have probably heard it to death about some of the points. But the talking points mainly are going to be us leaving it light, the 2 goals. How did you see the players? And then let's talk about what I'm considering the 3 big controversial decisions by the officials, which we'll get to at the tail end of this segment. Overall, in your performance, Gavin, how did you see the game? Just a general.
Look, we got the result. The performance wasn't the performance that we were looking for. It was a chance to give some people a rest and play some other people from who were waiting in the wings. And the people who came in, I felt didn't take their opportunity. We can go through them individually, but you've got Callum McGregor, the constant in midfield, because you daren't take him out. You bring in Bernardo, you bring in Hatate. Hatate was a mainstay under Martinelli in his first time around, but he's betraying the fans. He's been betraying himself. He's betraying his teammates without giving too much of an emotional argument on that one. But where is the Hatate that we know? Like, this is the crunch time of the season. Yes, it's a cup game, but we need to rotate. We need players to step up. And Hatate, for me, was a bit of a wasted man overall over the course of the game. Bernardo seems to get worse every season now under Celtic. You need players to step up. You really do. We're crying out for it. We're almost begging for them to do it, just to take the burden off the players. From an entertainment point of view, from a Celtic fan's perspective, no, it was a terrible performance. But the main thing is the result we got through. Obviously, it's not the draw that we wanted, but we got there in the end. But Martinelli and the coaching staff, that's another thing. Like, they want these players to step up, and they're not really taking the chance. Imagine how frustrating that is for Sean Maloney, for Fotheringham, and obviously for Martinelli. Martinelli, he can do as much as what he can to inspire people, but if you're not willing to take the chance when you're given it, then what else can the management team do? It's really, really frustrating. What was your thoughts on the performance itself?
I think as a collective overall, yeah, it wasn't great. Leaving it so late to get the equaliser is never a great thing. We could talk about, as I said earlier, eking out the results, getting late, whereas it could be exciting, it could be fun. But the fact that you're at home against Dundee, absolutely no offence to Dundee and Stephen Presley, he does set them up reasonably well. You're expecting Celtic to be getting a goal or 2 in the first half, getting a goal or 2 in the middle of the second half. And I'm not saying we have to beat Dundee 4-0, 5-0 every game, but you're kind of looking at where you're expecting a performance from Celtic that is more in line with potentially being a 4-0, 5-0 than being 1-0, getting beat with 3 seconds on the clock left. I don't want to go totally against you, and I'm not going to try and big him up too much. I felt Hatate actually had a good first half, and I could see some of his play was quite well. He linked up well with KT on the left, with Svankara. I think Mvuka worked quite well going down the wing as well. Tenetki at times when he was on was good, but it's in little parts and little spells. That was the first half for Hatate. Second half, yeah, the less said the better almost. Yeah, you're looking for Tenetki is probably the easiest one to pick out just now and say like that 10 minutes before the end of the game and then the first 5-10 minutes at the start of extra time, that 15-20 minute spell overall, you want that from Tenetki for the majority of the match, not a 20-minute spell every 3-4 games, because that Tenetki was on fire. Whoever lit the fire under his belly, where's that been all the time? Because he was taking players on, he's dragging the ball, he was doing the wee shimmy, he was cutting in and beating his man, he was laying it off, looking for the 1-2 for his goal. Obviously, he played the ball in for Adami for his goal. That's so brilliant. That's what you want to see from your winger. You barely see it. And I think Hatate's probably in that same boat. He's got that moment in him. He's got that killer pass. But he'll try that killer pass 10, 12, 13 times in a game. And the vast majority of them are fucking a shite. The players aren't on the same wavelength as him. And I'm not saying that he's too intelligent for the game. Sometimes he's just on another fucking planet. And he's playing a ball that just shouldn't be played. It's a great looking ball, but it should never be played because the setup isn't there for it. But it's too little, not often enough. But overall performance, yeah, I'm with you. It wasn't great. It's not building my confidence. Overall, yeah, it's not doing me much.
I agree. In terms of Tenetki, he looks to be an impact sub at the moment, and he made that impact. Yeah. I never caught his interview. I heard that he have. Am I right? Did you hear his interview after the game? Apparently, he was like self-critical.
Yeah, he was. I'm not going to paraphrase or anything too much from him, but it struck me when he was talking. He never like put the boot into himself, but he kind of done a kind of sideways, backhanded, hands up sort of thing, where it's like I don't deliver enough. He knows that he doesn't score enough goals. He knows that he doesn't assist enough goals. So he's happy. He said he was happy at the weekend to get his assist and to get his goal, because that's something he wants to add more of to his game. So I found that quite refreshing, is a bit strong, but I found it quite nice that he's at least acknowledging, even if it's in his own head somewhere, he's acknowledging that he's not doing enough. So he must obviously want to push and drive on. It's not like he's sitting there thinking, I'm doing all this work and nobody's helping me. So he knows he needs to do more. Yeah,
well, it's nice to hear that, to hear a player being bluntly honest. Not like a player might be able to admit to that to the coach behind closed doors, but to say that on camera, it's refreshing to hear that. He doesn't have to do that, but it shows that he cares, and that's what we want. We want people who care and people who have got character, people who can recognise when they're not doing well, and to show that endeavour and try and push to improve themselves. So if more people could show that type of behaviour, then that would benefit everybody all around. But yeah, overall, we had other people at Mvuka who came off at halftime on his debut, a player who looks to have obvious pace, but he looked to have, I don't know what it was that stopped him from taking his man on and trying to make an impact. If you've got that yeah, well, he's going to have to think again, to he's going to look at his teammate who seized his chance whenever he scored this goal, Adamu, and he's going to have to take a leaf out of his book. It's not the end of the world to have a bad debut. It happens, but try and go again.
As far as bad debuts concerned, we all love to point to, obviously, Henrik Larsson. It can happen. But even in the first half, I wondered at times, was he injured or something to be coming off at halftime? because I don't think he had that terrible first half. I think he showed a lot more to being a winger than what Balikwisha has shown as a winger. He's looking to get forward. He's looking to drive and use his pace. There's a few times we were coming down the left side or through the middle, and he was supporting with pace on the outside quite well. A couple of moves was quite reminiscent of Ange Postecoglou's style, where you'd have Jota and Abada down the wings and Kyle go through the middle, and everybody would just be moving forward in one unison in an attacking sense. And it looked quite good. It was quite refreshing. It looked like it was going to work quite well. But he does look a bit clumsy. He does look a bit, I don't want to say unassured of himself. And maybe you can chalk it down to the debut, quite a chaotic game. There's a lot going on. We obviously talk of boycotts, poor atmospheres at times. There's a lot goes on with debuts and people who've just moved and stuff, let alone all the crap that's going on at Celtic just now. So you can forgive him for a little bit, but it's positive to see his attitude was to try and get involved and try and be part of the attack. So I'm not going to write him off as much as I did write off pretty much everybody that we signed last week. He did do something to say, I'll give you another watch next time you're out. Adamu, I didn't see enough of him. He was on too late to really make any great judgment. But as you said then, alluded to, he took his chance when the ball came through to him, and that possibly might help Adamu quite a lot to get that goal, such a meaningful goal on his debut. That could just take all the doubts and all the pressure of the striker scoring his first goal. It's gone. He's already done it. So he might just get into his second game and just be challenges Vankara, and just the two of them could look like a good battle for the starting striker position.
Yeah, it gives us a different option apart from the obvious confidence boost of scoring on your debut, especially when it matters. It's not like you're scoring whenever you're already 4-0 up and it's inconsequential. But this was a big goal for him, and he had to do it last kick of the game. So he delivered under pressure. But the other thing that he adds to our squad is he can run in behind. I don't know how prolific he can be in front of goal, whether he can be more measured and calm than Maida, for example. But he can, as I said, run in behind. It can put people under pressure just from his pace alone. That's something different to what Chwanchara offers. So we've got a couple of different facets, a couple of different options up front, and that's a positive to take in itself. So we'll see how that goes. But I guess one of the most concerning things is we need to create chances for the strikers, and with the kind of hot and cold wing play that we're exhibiting right now, that's not helping matters. And the other kind of takeaway that I took from the game was the lack of energy in the midfield. You've got Hatate doing his own thing, Bernardo, who knows what's happened to Bernardo, and McGregor, who he's probably trying to compensate for the lack of cohesion in the midfield whenever he's got these new teammates, and they're maybe not pulling their weight, and it maybe kind of takes him out of his game. So it doesn't benefit McGregor. And obviously, let's not forget McGregor's age now. He's on the wrong side of 30. And whenever you've got two players who are younger than him, who just don't seem to play with enough structure, to play with enough impact, to benefit the team as a whole, then it makes it difficult for the defence. And the defence right now, I'm happy with what we've got right now. Okay, whether it's Tierney or Sriracha, you've got Araujo, who's very, very consistent, tactically astute. I like him, and obviously Scales and Trusty. They built up a partnership over the course of this season, and they seem, as defenders, very capable. Whenever they're playing out from the back, obviously you've got certain weaknesses, but we need to give that defence enough of a kind of protection. So if we're not creating chances, let's make sure that we're shoring up at the back, and that requires help from the defence and help from the front three as well to defend from the front.
I think if we take it back to the results that Martin's getting, yet the performances aren't great, and compare it to to Nancy, it is the back four plus the keeper. Exactly as you said, it is them having that partnership with Scales and Trusty. Arojo being a lot better than I gave him credit for coming in as Bournemouth's third choice. And obviously Tierney and now Srirachi is back from injury as well. If we can keep all five, AJ shouldn't be too far. I think he's back. If we can keep all 5, 6 fit for the rest of the season, nobody takes another injury, I'm not overly fussed about the back line at this point. I definitely think we need another centre-back defender, possibly even 2, depending on how Scales continues and or Carter Vickers, how he is when he comes back from injury. Trusty, I think, has probably got himself a place for next season, no questions asked. Is who's going to partner Trusty? Is it Scales again? Then I don't think Scales is good enough. I think he's a great squad player. I think he plays with his heart, and I think he's fantastic in what he's able to do. But I don't think he's the player to carry us forward up a level.
Oh, the conversation about Scales is for it's for tomorrow, metaphorically. But right now he is a stalwart. You know, we're putting our hopes in him and Trusty right now.
Exactly. And if those two stay injury free and go through the rest of the season, if that's the partnership as a centre back, I'm happy. I'm happy with it. I'm confident. Of course, they'll concede a couple of goals along the way, but I'm confident that they are not going to be the thing that loses us the league at this point. Same with the fullbacks. If we can keep, obviously, the 3 of them fighting fit, the 4 of them if AJ comes back, and then I think that backline helps Casper when he's in goals as well, because Casper looked quite poor for a period over December and early January. But again, you can probably contribute everything defensively to the shambles of whatever that was that Nancy was trying to do at 3 at the back. We only trust to be in the defender. It didn't help anybody's game at all. So yeah, I'm all over the place with my little running order. I did have a float it, but we're talking about the midfield there as well. So let's bring in Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. How do you find, or how do you think he'll slot into the side? Do you see him taking somebody's position straight away? Do you think he actually will improve the midfield? And by improve it, of course, Oxlade-Chamberlain as a name, as a status, he's better than anybody in our midfield, bar McGregor possibly. But he's been away from first team football for a little period. He's, again, 32, the wrong side of 30. Is he going to come back? I'm not asking if he's going to come back to 100%, but more just him as a player. If you've got him at the right point, do you see him taking Hatati's place? Do you see him changing the dynamic of that midfield? How do you see that kind of folding out?
Well, obviously under Arsenal, he was more of a, from my recollection, like a winger forward type. And then whenever he joined Liverpool, he became more of a central midfielder position, and he was very dynamic. He was able to contribute to attack. He wasn't a kind of deep lying midfielder in his Liverpool days. He was able to kind of bomb forward and join in and get on the last passes, that sort of thing. Maybe a lazy comparison would be almost like kind of Frank Lampard type role that he was doing for Liverpool. People might disagree, but that seems like a bygone era whenever he played for Liverpool and they won the league and they won the Champions League. A lot's happened since then. Even if we think of what Callum McGregor, what type of role he was doing those number of years ago, he's obviously changed a lot. He's now the kind of the deep lying central midfielder. So assuming that match fitness is not going to be a problem, okay? So I'm just trying to kind of think a best case scenario. I would imagine that he will be, and you're going to be guilty of it, like we say that all our midfielders are the same. I think because he's not a defensive guy, he's got attacking instincts. However, I don't think he'll be as athletic as what we once remember him to be. So he might be a wee bit more reticent in terms of his aggressive movements. He might be more foot on the ball, picking out passes and things like that, try to link up play between the midfield and the attack. But yeah, I could easily see that Hatate will be pushed further down the pecking order if Oxlade-Chamberlain is anywhere near as good as what we remember him to be. So I'm assuming that it'll be him, McGregor, Engels, and Nygren who will be the competition for the midfield, with one of them dropping out. Obviously, Nygren is the one who's getting your goals right now. You would almost be scared not to see him on the team sheet. So I want to see what Oxlade can bring, how effective he can be. Can people run past him easily because he's the same age now as McGregor? He can't be another passenger physically in the midfield. He needs to be able to contribute, and we'll find that out. Obviously, he started training right now. We'll find that out. I think Martin O'Neill's been a wee bit coy to see whether we. I think he might have hinted that we might see him making his debut. We will find out. It'll be really interesting. At the same time, we've seen former players from the English Premier League play for us in their 30s, and it's not went well. People like Freddie Ljungberg, who also played for Arsenal, it went terribly for him.
Ian Wright.
It was just like overnight he just lost his pace. He lost his oomph, and he was a shadow of his former player. And he was another kind of midfielder who would make forward runs into the final third. So let's hope that Oxlade has got the physicality. Otherwise, he will be a passenger. But I'm hoping that Martin O'Neill has been more measured in his assessment of him and hasn't made that gamble. I don't think he's going to be found out. I'm hoping he's not going to be found out. But certainly, from a technical point of view, from a skill point of view, the guy on his day was such a talented player. So I think we're kind of quietly excited to see what he'll bring. So we'll wait and see. What about you? What was your kind of level of optimism for the Ox?
I don't know. Is my short answer. My longer answer is I asked you that question because, as you know quite rightly from myself, I don't follow the EPL that well. I know you would be more inclined to sit down and watch a random EPL game on a Saturday or Sunday. Me, I think I could count on one hand how many EPL games I've watched in the last 5 years. So I'm not too sure what to expect from him. I remember him more as a winger back in his Arsenal days, and seeing him as a midfielder at Liverpool, I seldom can picture what he was like. So my wonderment, no worry, definitely not worry. But my curiosity is he got the strength? Because he's quite a strong winger, was he not? He's quite a bulk.
Yeah, a
bit physical.
It almost seems kind of ironic that he's got the name Ox in his name because he is he's like a bit of a wee tank, you know.
Yeah.
Physically strong. We just hope that his legs have still got it, you know, that he can still run about.
So for me, if Liverpool and Klopp are having him as a midfielder, then he's got to be a midfielder of some ilk, and I can only assume that's where we're going to play him because, I just don't see how he fits into as much as we're crying out for wingers at times. I don't see how he fits into our wing space after you've signed the likes of Vuka as well, Taniki Maeda, Yang, Forrest. It would be almost pointless bringing Oxlade-Chamberlain if he wasn't coming in as a midfielder. So I assume he's a midfielder. I like what I'm hearing from you in regards to the type of play he could be, or was and should be for us. It's just for me then going to be who does the replace, because you'd be scared to replace Nygren. But it sounds like that's probably the position that you would play, is that kind of slightly number 10 kind of midfielder that Nygren is using to get forward and to get his goals. So if you assume that McGregor's not getting dropped, do you play McGregor, Nygren and Oxlade-Chamberlain? And then you have to ask yourself, how does that look? Because McGregor defensively sitting as the only midfielder to support the back line, I'm not overly confident with that, because we know he's not got the doggedness in him, he's not got the physicality in him to be the holding midfielder that we want. We want him replaced so that we can put him a bit further forward.
Yeah, I think
if that makes sense. Yeah,
I think Engels probably does the most running about in midfield these days. Callum McGregor is the kind of the brain of the midfield, and Nygren is just that guy who appears to get on the end of things. I'm not too fussed about who starts and who drops out, because I think overall what we're creating is a healthy problem in midfield.
Yep.
A bit of competition. When we've got people like Bernardo, people like Luke McCowan, and by God, people like Rio Hatate, who are not contributing to the competition in midfield. Thank God we're bringing in someone who has got creativity, has got know-how, who's got experience, has got proper IQ. The one question is, as I've already said, is does he have the energy and the legs to contribute? But I don't think he'll be a liability. Martin O'Neill will try to find a solution, and overall, it's a good problem that we are creating, because the other three midfielders who I just mentioned are not providing any solutions whenever they do get the chance. And by the way, my heart goes out to Luke McCowan. I'm a big fan of Luke McCowan, and part of that is like a kind of an emotional attachment because he is a Celtic fan, and you see how much it means to him. But right now, Luke McCowan, I think he's having a really difficult spell in the season. Physically, he gets knocked off the ball. Quality-wise, it's not really working for him. I want to see him get that kind of second bounce, but at the moment it's not working. I really want the wee man's confidence to get up, but until that happens, this is a good thing. Chamberlain coming in.
No, I would agree. And if Chamberlain comes in and hits the ground running, I'll give him that he needs a couple of games to get up to sharpness. We're at the stage of the season, I think you said the last time we were on together, that there's 14 league games to go. We're at the stage of the season that we can't afford him to take 5, 6, 7 games to get up to speed, because it's almost fucking pointless at that point. But you can afford him a couple of games to like most signings would, to get himself sorted. So let's just hope that he's been training properly well down south, and let's hope that he's had the last few days, whether or not he gets on the pitch tomorrow night and goes into the weekend, he's hopefully getting enough game time to say that he is ready for, Kilmarnock at the weekend, then Hibs the week after. If he has to be ready for Hibs. Put it this way, he has to be ready for Hibs, because the week after that he's going to be against Rangers, and if he's not ready for these games, then it is quite pointless almost bringing a guy like him on the waves that he's likely to be on if he's not going to be influencing these sort of games that are about to crop up. So he needs to be ready. As far as Luke McCown's concerned, I agree with you in what you're saying, but I think Luke McCowan suffers from the same thing that the rest of the midfielders, and the same thing that the rest of the squad kind of suffers from, is that there's just not enough quality to carry a guy like Luke McCowan. And this is going to sound really negative and really bad, but we're carrying Luke McCowan whilst we're also carrying Bernardo, whilst we're also carrying Engels and or Hatate, depending on what way they're swaying. We've not got the luxury at this point in the squad depth to be able to say, 3 of your 6 midfielders can all have, be subpar at this point in the season. We need somebody to be on the fucking game. We need that midfield to be at peak level, so that when Luke McCowan does have his moments of it's not quite working for me, you can take him out of the team and it's not going to affect anybody. Whereas we don't have that option to take anybody out of the team, because the rotation is so limited that we have to put Luke McCowan or Bernardo in, regardless of what the form is, because people need to be rested fitness-wise. So these guys need to come in. Whereas if you had an overall squad that was much more depth to it with quality, then you can afford these guys a bit of time and a bit of luxury. But also, whilst we're saying that, you didn't want to flood your team with squad players. You need to have your first. If we had 3 midfielders that are all at the A game, then you have 2 midfielders on the side. One is a natural rotation, so you got 4 in there, and the other one could be Luke McCowan, who's going to make up the European numbers. It's all right if Luke McCowan's a squad player and goes hot and cold, because the other 4 should be doing their part, and it allows Luke McCowan to literally be a squad player, because you do need squad players. You just don't want the entire team to be squad players, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. It's not easy to come in whenever everybody's kind of like
half-assing it, without being harsh to people. I know they're not actually half-assing it, but it's kind of how it looks.
Yeah, when everybody's sort of kind of like underwhelming, like whenever people are given 6 out of 10s rather than the occasional 7 or 8 out of 10, then it's a difficult ask for a squad player to come in and up the tempo. But that's how it is right now, and we just hope that behind the scenes, Martin O'Neill and the coaching staff somehow are able to kind of arrest this slump in performance levels and try to bring them. Yes, we're getting the results as we've said, but it's the performance. We need better tempo. We need better quality, and let's just hope that things work out. Yeah. By the way, that's half time right now between Hearts and Hibs. It's nothing each.
Still nothing each.
Yeah,
I'll take a draw. A draw works in our favour. Absolutely. It's going to be interesting at the weekend, though. Was it Hearts Rangers at the weekend?
Is it?
I think it is.
I'm sure you're right. So where is that? Is that going to be?
I'm actually not 100% sure where, but I'm sure it is a Hearts Rangers at the weekend. Which
it's at Ibrox. Ibrox 4:30 on the Sunday. So we kick off at 2:00 on the Sunday, and
interesting.
Hearts 4:30.
Yeah, that could be a very tasty fixture if they drop points tonight and we win tomorrow. What does that do to the? Puts it to 4 points with a game in hand to us.
Well, so if they drop points, if they draw, then they're 7 points ahead of us, are they?
So they're 7 ahead of us just now because they're getting the draw. We win tomorrow, yeah, it'll be 4. If we win tomorrow and it stays as it is tonight, it's 4 points with a game in hand. So they'll be looking at us. If we win at 2:00, did you say that game is? It's 1 point behind with that game in hand. So the Hearts are then going to be looking at that and thinking they need to get a result. But at the same time, Rangers are going to look at it and think the exact same thing. It could be a mental situation where we actually might benefit more from a Rangers result at the weekend. Thinking out loud, mental.
I'll take draws.
Take draws. Let's take draws. So yeah, mindful of the time. I know most people are going to be keeping their eye on that game, obviously, tonight. There's a couple more points I wanted to touch on the game at the weekend.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And it is the officials more than anything. You know what I'm like. I like to have a bash, especially when it's some of the obvious candidates, Douglas Ross. But the 3 main ones that I want to bring up and just get your opinion on, and I'm sure it's probably going to be similar to the vast majority of Celtic fans anyway. But the 3 points are the penalty call, the potential red card on Kieran Tierney for the high boot, and then the Douglas Ross calling that ball out of play before it swings in. I can't remember who hit the cross in, but before it swings into Araujo, was it? And the whistle goes along before Nygren takes his shot. To be fair, you can see the players have stopped playing, but he takes a shot, it goes in the back of the net. That ball falls in whilst the game's active. You don't know if that's going in or not, positive or negative. But those 3 things, I think, are the big kind of talking points of the game. There's a couple of other small ones that you can bring up as well, but penalty, red card, Douglas Ross in that cross, how did you see them? Wrong, right?
I'll go back and reverse order. The Douglas Ross one, okay? So I don't know. I've not seen conclusively. Like, the ball looked in play whenever Araujo controlled it, but I was thinking that whenever Araujo crossed it back in, I was wondering, has Douglas Ross seen it curl out of play and then back in? I was wondering that's what he's seen and that's why he's blown it. And I was also thinking he must be 100% sure that ball went out in order to have the confidence to do that. So at the moment, we didn't see the benefit of the proper replays in line with it to show if he was right or he's wrong. So at the moment, you're just going on blind faith that a very bad man at his job actually got a decision right. I'm trying to think of the best phrase for that, but I just chose the most simple words. I'm going to have to assume that despite being bad at his job, he actually got that right, because at the moment I don't see any conclusive evidence to say that it did go out. But whenever like you have other things like whenever it's a borderline offside call, they let the ball play out, and then whenever play comes to a conclusion, do they then raise the flag? So maybe he could have done that, but boy, he must have been confident in order to make that play. So that's where I'm at with that one.
With me for that one, Douglas Ross is a wank.
Agreed.
Sorry. Douglas Ross is a cunt, and apparently he didn't see those banners at Celtic Park a while ago. But I'm 100% exactly what you said there, but he needs to be 100% sure, because I'm with you. When Araujo throws the ball, he's a yard or two in. There's no doubt in my mind that ball's went out. You can only assume that it's the curvature of the ball. Now we see it from the opposite side of the pitch, obviously, and we're seeing it. I'm not going to guess the angles, but we're seeing it at an angle probably from the corner of the 18-yard line, so we can't see down it. We're seeing it from here. It, to me, initially, doesn't look like it's got that mad out-swinging curve on it. Not all in-swinging balls go out before they come in. It's clearly defined by the vast majority of corners that are taken in that way. They don't go out of bounds. So I'd be surprised if the ball actually did curve out. So if Douglas Ross has seen it, he has to be 100% sure, because I'm definitely with you that you have to let that play through, even for a few seconds, to see the cross and what happens with the cross. Because that cross comes in, it falls, a shot gets taken, a goal gets scored. You pick your flag up and VAR have a look at it naturally, and the goal gets disallowed. You have to let that play out. In the modern game, using VAR, that surely has to be the way it has to go. As you say, we offside calls, they get told to let the game play a little bit longer. Surely it has to be the same for these things. If there's any doubt, play it, let the VAR then assess it after a goal happens.
Yeah, but out of the three incidents, that's the one that I'm least concerned about, because, well, just because the penalty for me, it should have been a penalty. I've heard the explanations and people quoting the rule book. The rule book does sound silly. So apparently, if it was a pull, a prolonged pull out of the jersey, then it would have been a penalty if it continued into the box. However, whenever it is a shove, then if part of the contact was outside, then it's not a penalty. I don't get that, because for me, a push it's a motion. It's not like a holding on to someone and then you push them. It's like a one fluid motion of pushing, because there's a clear aim to project your opponent by pushing. Otherwise, you're not going to do that. Just if you just held on to him, that's absolutely fine. I don't have a problem with that. But the push for me happened once they got into the box, whenever the defender's legs were planted in the box. So for me, that is a penalty. There was one. I don't know if this is like a poor thing to bring in as an example. There was one time it benefited Celtic, but it was on the shoe was on the other foot. It was at Ibrox, and you might disagree with me for bringing in this example. You might think it's not relevant, but there was one time which I think we all remember, and it was Lagerbielke dithered on the ball, and it was Dessers who put his foot in front of Lagerbielke's swinging boot. Lagerbielke was going to kick the ball. Dessers put his foot in front, and for me, just as a football fan, I felt that Dessers won that ball. And what happened, if you allowed the play to continue, which the referee did, Dessers gained possession of the ball. Lagerbielke fell on his arse, looking like the fool that he is. Dessers, I think he passed it to Roof, and Roof scored into an empty net, and Rangers went 1-0 up. That got pulled back by VAR, and the referee made the decision, which was based on the rule book, that you can't put your foot in front of a player who's about to kick the ball if you're not actually touching the ball yourself. And for me, that sounded like a crazy rule, which is a football fan, I disagreed with that rule, but it benefited Celtic, so I was happy as Larry that we were the beneficiary of that. Whereas this game at Parkhead, the rule I just totally disagree with, and I felt that it should have been a penalty for Celtic. So I don't know if that's a terrible example, but it just had me thinking of that, where I disagreed with the rule, but I was happy with the decision. I guess in this one, I disagree with the rule, and I'm disagreeing with the decision as well. So yeah, probably a really bad example, McGinty. I just wasted 5 minutes, and I just made everybody dumber in the comment section who listened to me there.
No, it was quite okay. For me, the penalty is a penalty. I don't understand, be it a push, a shove, a pull, a sliding tackle, whatever the incident is. If the physical act happens inside the box, whether or not it starts outside it, finishes it outside it, if the physical act at any point happens in the box, to me that's a penalty. It's a foul and a penalty. Unless you're going to see the incident outside the box and blow it before it gets into the box, for me, it's, if it happens inside the box, I think it should be some extreme hypotheticals. Maybe if the pull's happening 10 yards outside the box and he lets go of him as he's entering the box, maybe there's some extreme example of nonsense. You're like, well, actually the main foul and crux of it is it, but even that, I'm clutching my own straws. For me, I think if any part of it happens inside the box, I think you have to give the penalty.
There was probably contact in real time. There was probably contact for a good two seconds, maybe 2.5 seconds. Who knows? But going into the box, he's holding his shirt, but there is no foul there. It's a contact sport. He was just holding his shirt. That's absolutely fine. But whenever they enter the box, at that moment, that's where a foul happens. Yeah. So you go from legal contact to illegal contact, and that's the bit that happened in the box. Yeah, and we got a free kick for it, I think, in the end or something. But
we got a free kick about 3 yards outside of the box. However, that always baffles me where the position of those balls are. It's like, so you tell me it was so far out of the box, it's 3 yards, and I can see proper grass and daylight between the ball and the box. But yet we're debating, where the line is, and it is for me that's a penalty all day long.
Just to kind of interject, to digress for a second, the feedback from the Edinburgh derby, apparently both sides are just waiting to get their opportunity, waiting for it to happen instead of making it happen. The full spine of the Hearts team, you just see how big of a miss it is right now. They've got a guy called Kent who's a good player, but he looks nervous, and then you understand how big a player Craig Halkett is and how much he settles the team down right now. And Cammy Devlin's absence right now is being felt. And up top, they're missing the influence of Lawrence Shankland. So at the moment, Hearts, just like Hibs, haven't been great. But let's hope that continues in the second half. But back to the other incident, it was the
KT red.
Yeah. For me, clear red. The boot to the chin could have done serious damage. Up to the eye, was it?
Yes, it is on the job, on the cheekbone, on the nose. There's a slow motion in the still picture. You see his nose bent out. It's proper on the face. Yeah. It wasn't like, I'm slight. It's proper on the face.
Yeah, for me, like, what do you need to do to get a red card these days? Like, I think he was going for the ball. I think he had eyes for the ball. I don't think it was malicious that he meant to kick his head, but that doesn't matter because it was such a violent act. Whether it's clumsy, intentional, non-intentional, like, you could have seriously done. You could have easily sent that guy to hospital. So for me, a red card every day. The fact that the referee never called it and VAR never said, "Here, mate, you've made a calamitous error." Overall, indescribable how bad a decision that was. That was the worst decision of the night.
For me, it was absolutely disgusting how ineffective all the officials were for that. Now, obviously, Celtic fans will going to hark back to the Yang red card against Hearts, but practically similar things. he lifts his boot high to try and control the ball. He's got eyes on the ball. He's got no intent, no malice to it. And he actually pulls away from the guy's face and the guy's head a lot better than what happened the other day. I can't remember going by memory if he actually made actual contact or not. I think he did, but I don't think it was as strong as what happened to KT anyway. But that was a yellow card at the time, and VAR happily got involved and upgraded to a red. We would have all defended it and be like, what else could you do, blah, blah, but it's a high foot for a ball that he shouldn't be putting a high foot in for, and he was endangering an opponent. All the rest of it, you accept it for what it is. Sometimes we do get away with things, but often, we don't get away with things, and that's one of the ones we did get away with, and rightly so. We shouldn't have got away with it. It's the red card all day long, but we will use that as an example for what happened at the weekend against KT, because again, it's almost the exact same situation with a high boot, but the ref gives a yellow card. But at that time, VAR does not get involved, from what we understand and what we get told, because sometimes you get from the commentators, VAR looking at such and such an incident. That was never mentioned. It sounds like they never bothered their arse to look at it. And I worry, because if you do look at that as VAR, you upgrade that to a red card, because that's exactly what VAR, that's one of the 4 criteria of what VAR can get involved in, and yet they didn't. I mean, KT is lying flat on the deck, sprawled out, doesn't move for a considerable period of time, that people are actually, just sitting there thinking, is he all right? Is he getting stretched off? Is he going to hospital here? And yet at no point at that time did VAR seemingly look at that, because in my opinion, if you look at that as VAR, get a slow motion replay of that, that's a red card. You can almost forgive the ref for giving a yellow. I don't know how, because a high boot to the face has to be a red card all day long. But if the ref has maybe felt that he didn't make contact or something didn't happen quite easy, you can almost forgive a ref for giving a yellow.
Yeah,
but VAR not getting involved is disgusting.
I think even our players should have put the referee under pressure. I know that you can maybe say that tactic doesn't work, but show a bit of passion.
Sometimes you have to.
Show a bit of fire in your belly. But whenever referees make bad mistakes, they get demoted, And I think that's the second time I've seen that referee at Parkhead. It's kind of difficult to miss him because he's just so lanky and he just looks like a big Igor fuck face. But
he's actually not refereed that many top flight games.
For that type of mistake, he should be sent back down, and he should be given the kind of retrospective punishment that a referee does get whenever you make such a bad error.
We obviously all know that every month, what was his name, Gordon Duncan, is it, of Clyde One, he does his review program with Willie Collum. 100% you're going to get this game is probably going to get its own segment on that show rather than just individual items. I get the feeling, because Willie Collum often comes out with that one we got wrong and we'll learn from that. Nobody ever gets demoted. When's the last time you heard of any of the big names, be it Clancy, be it Dallas, be it Beaton, whoever it is? When have you ever heard that they've got demoted because of such a poor performance in their game? I bet you this guy's the first one will get some sort of media acknowledgement that he's been sent down the league for 2 weeks. I bet this is the one guy they'll make an example of in that sense, because he is, I think, only about 9 or 10 games in the top flight. I think they'll happily make the example and they'll hold that, oh, look, we are learning, we are doing something about it. But I don't think it's good enough when there's 3 big calls that they got wrong as a collective officially. But that red card was, non-red card was disgusting.
Well, the VAR team are just as culpable as the referee of that.
Yeah.
So they should all be punished. They should all be punished.
So, coming up for the hour mark, there is a couple more things. I'm not going to dwell on too heavily, just acknowledging the time of the day. It's a bit later for us. We started at 8 o'clock rather than 7. For the guys who are in the comments and listening later on, thank you very much. But we do have one more real big thing to talk about, and we'll deviate if you want to a little bit, is the Livingston game that's going to be playing tomorrow. Celtic are at home. The usual suspects are injured, I believe. Obviously, Srirachi is back. Carter Vickers, AJ, and Jota are still out. How do you view the game? Is anybody you thinking that should get a start? Obviously, we're all going to assume that the Ox gets off the bench at some point, but are you starting Adamu? Are you starting Mvuka again? Is anybody working their way back into it? Does Srirachi get on ahead of KT?
Right, so the midfield picks itself. Nygren, Kalmak, and Engels, for me, picks itself. The back five picks itself. I've heard that Martin O'Neill said in his press conference that Tierney didn't have concussion, which means that he is eligible to play tomorrow night.
Yeah, because there's something about that, isn't there? If you make the sub based on concussion, then he has to be out for 2 weeks or something.
6 days, I think it is.
Is it 6 days?
And you're not allowed to train either for 6 days. But Tierney was pictured to training today, so it looks like that he will be fine to play. Look, the great thing is that Srirachi's back as well, so thank fuck we've got a bit of cover. But this could be even just to give Tierney a rest, because he's the only one who doesn't seem to have any cover. He's been playing without cover. Srirachi got injured. Was it at the end of Martin O'Neill's time, or roughly around the start of Nancy? But Srirachi's been out for
a couple of months.
2 solid months, I think. And Tierney has been soldiering on. Thank Christ that his body's held up. So if we need to give Tierney a rest, he deserves a rest, because we need to go again this weekend. So we can either play Srirachi or Tierney. Whoever, leave it up to the coaching staff. It's not my decision. But yeah, either way, the back five picks itself. The midfield, as I said, picks itself. So in the forward three, that's where we're just not strong. So I'm saying Chpanchara again up front. And so Maida left wing. Or if you wanted, you could do Maida right wing and Tenetki left wing. Like, who's the most...
You're dropping Yang.
Who's the most effective wingers? Yang... I don't think Yang had a good game at all. Forrest, I think Forrest is struggling, even as an impact sub. He's just a sub. I wouldn't even call him an impact sub. He's just a sub now. So I think Maida and Tenetki for his quality, or do you bring Tenetki on as a sub?
I think Maeda could do with more time out the team. And I don't mean that nasty. I think possibly, like you're saying about Tierney, he's played so much. I don't think his head's in it properly. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. He's obviously thought he was getting his transfer in the summertime. It never materialised. He seemingly had spoken to the club, last January about wanting to move on. You can almost forgive a player for not down tools, but the head dropping a little bit sometimes.
How long do you leave him out for? He's already get dropped for that game. He's given time off. So
yeah, I think it comes down to, again, trusting Martin O'Neill and the coaches to speak to Tenetki, because if you can get Tenetki to start the game against Livy, as we were saying earlier on, that kind of 20-minute spell, if you can get him to start a game with that energy and that passion, then you want that kind of winger in your team, and Yang goes to the right side. But I think if Tenetki's not showing anything different from the last few weeks to warrant that if it's just been a blip in a game that he's turned that on, then you might want to look at Yang being on the left side. And then do you stick with giving Mfuka another chance? Again, we don't have the luxury of time to give all these guys, bedding in time. We need them to hit the ground running. But at the same time, they can't hit the ground running if you're only going to give them 45 minutes. So do you give Mvuka the second chance at the at the cherry sort of thing, and Yang on the left, or if for me, if Tanetki looks like he's up in his game this week, and it looks like he possibly could start Livingston on fire, then I think you play Tanetki left and Yang right. If not, Yang left, but perhaps Mvuka right. But I agree with the centre forward, Svankara.
Yeah. It's a league game. It's a must-win game. So no fanning about. You play your best players. At the moment, front three, it's difficult to know what our best players are. Yang is maybe less effective on the right as what he is on the left. However, Tanetki in the last game came on and made an assist and made a goal. So
yep.
if Tanetki can do that and doesn't get a start the next game,
it's almost quite.
He'll be looking around and said, well, "Why are there other people getting a start ahead of me?" So
that's fair.
Yeah, we can bring on Yang, Mvuka, Adamu. Things aren't going their way, and hope that they can make a change. Who knows? But I think Maida will definitely start. Just whether it's on the left or the right. If it's on the right, it's obviously to accommodate Tanetki. But I think Maida has to start. Chvanchara will start as well. Yeah.
I think it's safe to say that all going somewhat well. Obviously, nobody's getting forced with injuries. I think we will see Oxlade-Chamberlain. I think we'll see Adamu, and I think we'll see Mvuka on the pitch at some point, whether it's being starting or coming off the bench. I think all three will feature at some point tomorrow. But yeah, midfield three and the back line, I think I would agree with you. The talking point is the attacking trio, and it's how to accommodate whoever might be the one in form, because none of them are really in form at the same time. As you say there, though, Tanetki comes on as a sub, sets up the goal and scores the goal. It's a bit hard to drop him when the rest of the front line aren't that great in the first place. So, yeah, it might almost feel like he deserves the start based off of what he done.
Yeah, I think since he came back from the AFCON, he's been a positive player. He's a wee bit inconsistent, but tell me any of the front three who are consistent, so that's what you kind of throw back. But maybe Martin O'Neill might use reverse psychology and say, I'm going to put you on the bench because I know that when I bring you on, you will be the difference maker. He might use some of that kind of Brian Clough magic.
I was going to say, yes, some old school managers have done that before, yeah.
Yeah. And let somebody else try and take their opportunity. You know that you'll get effort out of Yang, but the quality, you just don't know what you're going to get with Yang,
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I take it you've got something on the side that's telling you what the score is. Have we got any update on the second half yet?
Just that apparently it's far better from Hearts, more sustained pressure. And, so still nothing each. But Hearts apparently are up in their game.
Are we 10-15 minutes into that half, I'm guessing?
Aye.
So I think that's what's going to be the rest of my night. I think that's what the rest of my night is going to be, is another beer, see how that result pans out, and see how we go for tomorrow. But on that note, Gavin, we'll call it a night for tonight. I hope you've had a good time, and hopefully we get the result that we're looking for tomorrow. You enjoy yourself? I don't know how to. I feel awkward finishing these things.
Pleasure. Always enjoying talking about the football, and it's good that I'm talking rather than asking the questions. So it's a nice role reversal. But no, I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow night. By the way, I didn't actually go to the game at the weekend. It wasn't because it was a deliberate boycott, just because I never had childcare available, so I had no choice. But it will look as if I did abstain out of rebellion. So, yeah.
That was another talking point I was going to bring up, was the whole boycott and the general movement of the rebels. But we never touched on it, and it's actually been quite a positive weekly roundup of all things Celtic. So we won't touch on it, and I'm sure we'll talk about it another time, though, and we'll keep it as it is. So yeah, thank you very much, Gavin, for taking part. Guys in the comments and the chat, thank you for being along, and all the best. Here we go.